Alright, cool. So it's like 12 a.m. midnight. You're scrolling on TikTok, and a BBL come across your screen. If you know what that is, it's not doesn't about this big booty Latina. Anyways, you're like, oh shit, she kind of bad, and you're like, oh, let me just go on her profile real quick. Scroll some more, and then you realize, oh shit, I know what popped up. It's an ABG, and you're like, damn, her face card is lethal. So you scroll more and more until you realize it's 2 a.m. and you're on Google with like 3 private tabs open. And that plus snot curry, you be hitting different. You be hitting harder than your mom's slippers when you realize you haven't done the dishes, you know. But anyways, I digress. If you're watching this video, you already know what gooning is, bro. I don't need to give you the lay down of what that is, right? But I just want to let you guys like know that you're not alone. You know, a ridiculous amount of guys are dealing with this issue right now, and barely anyone's really talking about it honestly, you know. And this video is going to be real. It's going to be a bit funny as well because let's be real. Some of this stuff is genuinely embarrassing to admit, but it's also a serious problem because the effects that this has on your life, on your brain, on your confidence, and on your overall energy is no joke. But other than that, let's get into it. All right, let's talk about what's actually happening to your brain when you're deep in a cooling session at 2 a.m. instead of sleeping, right? So every time you watch that shit, your brain releases something called dopamine, which is a chemical in the brain, neurotransmitter, if you want to be specific. Uh, and it's kind of like your brain's reward chemical. The thing is, your brain doesn't really know how to distinguish between a real life and a screen. It just know it got rewarded, you know what I'm saying? So over time, your brain starts to rewire itself. You know, normal life likes just going to the gym, going up and talking to that baddie at the gym, or what, you know, wherever you're at, working on your goals. They start to feel more boring and not that stimulating compared to the constant dopamine hit that you get from doing it. You understand? And you notice that afterwards, when when you're done with with the deed, you feel kind of flat and you feel like unmotivated and you just can't be asked, you can't be bothered to do anything afterwards. It's not a coincidence, you know, it's your dopamine baseline in your brain. It's being completely wrecked, you know, and it gets worse over time, and over time, the more you do that shit, you know? Regular overconsumption of this, it affects your ability to even like lock in, to concentrate. Your drive to actually do shit goes down. Your confidence around a real woman goes down because you're so much focused on like getting the box and like how how big her cheeks are, and actually talking to her and actually getting to know her as a person, and if she has a personality, and do you actually like vibe with her, you know what I'm saying? And your energy's like, throughout the day, your energy level goes down, you feel sluggish, you feel ashamed, but then you feel bad, so you go back to it to feel better. And it's a loop, it's a never-ending loop. It's a genuinely addictive loop. And then I want to move on to the next section, which is, you need to be honest with yourself, right? You need to be honest with yourself and realize that this is a problem. And I want to ask a question that, are you that type of guy that says, oh yeah, I'll start on Monday, but it's Friday, so then you go on, it gives you an excuse to go on a gooning marathon, bro. Like, you'd be fucking like Usain Bolt with that shit, you know what I'm saying? Or you be gooning to shit that if people found out, they'll be like, what the fuck, bro? You need to seek help. You need to go find God ASAP because you're too deep in the gooning rabbit hole. And afterwards, after your session, in the back of your mind, after you're done, you'll be thinking to yourself like, bro, what the fuck did I just watch on my screen? Like, what am I been doing, bro? The first step is just really just to be honest with yourself, not completely beating yourself up, bro. Yeah, not beating your meat, bro. Not beating yourself about it, because shame actually makes it a whole lot worse. But it's just acknowledging the fact that, okay, this is a problem, and you're gonna make a step to actually on how to deal with this problem, how to overcome this issue, right? And the next section I want to talk about is willpower. So this is where a lot of people go wrong. They try to stop through like pure willpower. They try to like, go cold turkey for a few days. And then if something like stressful happens, or they're bored, they're tired, you know, they just immediately just cave in. You know what I'm saying? Willpower is kind of like, is a limited resource. It will run out eventually, especially when you're very tired, or quite stressed out, which is when the urge is strongest, But the solution isn't to try harder. The solution is changing your environment around you and replacing the behavior. So let me explain there. Your brain is going to look for the dopamine hit again. You know, you can't remove the behavior and sleep it back. You kind of need to replace that. You need to replace with another habit. You need to make the old behavior harder to like access. If you get what I mean. So try and replace the gooning with something different that provides that that dopamine hit. Then that way you won't be constantly going towards the gooning just to get that hit of dopamine instead. And then I want to move on to the next section, which is the actual practical steps, you know, to actually stop doing this, right? And I'm not gonna give you like, oh, install blockers and bro, I've done that shit, bro. Come on. Do you think, right? Imagine this. Do you think like a crack addict, bro? Like, if bro, he's gonna go through fire and he's gonna go through, planks on nails, through like a, pit of snakes, bro, just to get that hit of crack. You know what I'm saying? If the dopamine is, the hit of dopamine is that massive, like that person is gonna go through like World War One, World War Two trenches, everything, bro, to get that hit of dopamine. So fuck the blockers, bro. But I wanna start with step one, right? Identify your triggers, right? So the triggers is like, okay, when does that happen? When do you normally do that shit? Do you do that shit when you're late at night when you're bored? It's just a lot of people that's me, yeah. When you're stressed, when you have a lot on your plate, you're under some pressure, or you be procrastinating on something that you need to actually get done, or when you're in bed, right? I don't know, when you sleep in bed with your phone alone, that's once you really know the trigger, you know the pattern, you can interrupt it. If it's late night, phone in bed, honestly, charge your phone outside the room, put your phone outside the room. Don't, put your phone outside the room and put the alarm on the phone, outside the room, and, put the volume loud so that you can actually hear that shit. You have to get up on your bed and actually turn that shit off, right? Step two, replace it with something that also hits the dopamine, like I mentioned before. This is why I want to, I wanted to, mention that. Like when I made the blueprint video, right? The gym is on. I highlighted that the gym is an important thing, right? Exercise, gym, like that releases that dopamine naturally. Okay, cold showers also releases that dopamine. Going for a walk, even playing games, even I would say, bro, like if you're really not that bad, even playing games is better than doing it, bro. I'll be real, But the goal is to give your brain a dopamine hit from something that actually builds you up rather than just drains you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we want to do. We want to replace it, find a replacement. Don't just take it out immediately because you have nothing to replace it and you just go immediately back to it. So don't be doing that. And then step three as well, which I see a lot online, especially in the NoFap community and that type of stuff, is they do this streak thing where like, or 1 year on NoFap, or 6 months on NoFap, or 2 years on NoFap, or 5 years on NoFap, or whatever, and then they start acting like I don't know, they're part of the Avengers, they're like fucking Doctor Strange, they can open like time portals, and they feel like they're like Iron Man, and they can see, they got like wall hacks and shit, and, they can see through the walls and shit like that. Like, bro, come on, get out with that bullshit. But the day one, like they always say, oh, day one, day two, day three, it sounds good, right? Like when you say, "Oh, I'm on a year, I'm on 6 months," it sounds good, right? But a lot of people just backfires because when you break the streak, let's say you're on day 14, not 2 weeks. When you break the streak, you're gonna feel like a failure. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna feel like shit. So then, like I mentioned before, you're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna turn to the Gooning to get that extra, to get that dopamine hit, so you can feel better about yourself. Then you start going on the Gooning marathon, right? So don't track the streak. You know what I'm saying? Instead, focus on today and present moment. What you can do today. Tomorrow is tomorrow's problem. Don't be worrying about that streak. Like counting on how many days in that. That's completely BS. And step four, right? Stay busy, stay tired. Sounds simple, but it's true. When your days are full, when you have like a routine, you have this time I'm going work, this time I'm going gym, this time I'm doing my side hustle, this time I'm chilling out with the bros. You don't have the time or the mental energy to fall into this. You know, there's a quote I want to say is the idle hands is the devil's workshop. Idle time is where this habit lives. You need to fill your schedule. You know what I'm saying? If you're not doing anything, that's when, the urge to be gooning is going to be high because you're simply bored. You don't know what you have nothing to do, right? And then I want to say like the other thing, which is what life looks like on the other side when you finally overcome this, right? First of all, I want to say that your energy goes up. Your drive, your motivation to do shit goes up. You actually wake up and you feel like you want to do shit. Your confidence around women goes up because you're not in your head all the time. You're not on the Gooner mindset of like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, her ass is kind of fat. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know what I'm saying? She's got those calcium candidates, but it's, you actually think about like, oh, is she like a genuine woman? Like you start seeing if you vibe with her. You know what I'm saying? If her personality is great, if you vibes with your personality, you click, right? And you're not carrying that low level shame and you're not comparing the real life to what you've been watching when you stand on the screen, right? So your game, your confidence, it just elevates, right? And then another thing I want to say is your focus and concentration, right? That it improves because things I felt boring before, like reading, going gym, right, working on the side hustle, studying, right, now starts to feel more engaging again because your dopamine baseline has recovered, so that you get more dopamine from the boring shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, again, like your focus and concentration improves, and then another thing is your ambition comes back. The feeling of wanting to go and build something, massive, like whether it be a side hustle or a creative outlet, right? It comes back because you stop draining of your ambition and your drive. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's easy or like, oh, you'll never slip up. You know, you will have some pitfalls. But I will tell you that the version of yourself on the top of this, you know, is noticeably different to the version that isn't. You already know that. And that's why you clicked on and you're watching this video, right? So, to summarize, Googling is bruh, rewiring your brain in a way that's working against everything you're trying to build. Willpower alone won't really fix it. You need to change your environment, replace the habit of gooning with something else, identify your triggers, your patterns, replace the behavior, and stay consistent. It's not being 100% perfect. It's about being better than it was before, right? But anyways, if this video helped or you needed to hear this, drop a like. Definitely, it helps the channel. Honestly, it helps me to know if the content's, if it's hitting or not. And obviously, you drop a sub as well if you want real, talk, like real, conversations like this every week. And also drop a comment as well and give me any video ideas. You know, I'll be happy to do any requests, or if you want to just talk to me in the comments, I'll reply to every single one. So yeah, anyways, other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one.